Are you curious about what's currently happening in the Nashville real estate market? If so, then stay tuned because in today's video, I am tackling what our statistics show us from August of 2022. We're taking a look at what we're currently seeing happening in our market as we move into fall. Plus, I'm going to be tackling some of Nashville's big news headlines that you're going to want to know about. So all of that and more in today's video. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin Martin and I am a local Nashville real estate agent and founder of the Caitlin Martin team powered by 𝐋𝐈𝐊𝐄 Realtors, the Andrews Group. I specialize in working with savvy sellers who want to sell right and sell smart, as well as working with out-of-staters looking to relocate to the Middle Tennessee area. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, thank you so much. Please feel free to click subscribe down below so that you are notified anytime I release new video content. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Nashville statistics of what's been happening in our real estate market as of August 2022. What are we seeing now as we move into the fall? Plus, like I said, some headlines that have come out that if you're looking at moving here, you're most likely going to be interested in. So let's go ahead and dive on in. So if we are looking at statistics that just came out from the Greater Nashville Realtors, it compares our August of 2022 to August of 2021. And if we are looking at those statistics, home sales, total home sales were actually down 16% from the same time last year, which is not that much of a surprise. What is a bit of a surprise though is our inventory was actually up this August. It was up 77% over the same time last year. So that means that we had in August about 4,000 more properties on the market than we did in August of last year, which is kind of crazy. One of the biggest things that we struggled with last year was the incredibly low inventory that we were dealing with compared to the very high demand that we were seeing. And so the laws of supply and demand, that's what really drove our market being absolutely white hot, with homes going exceedingly over list, and we are really watching appreciation grow at about 4% month over month as we moved through last year and into the beginning of this year. However, as I've stated in previous market update videos over the last couple of months, we really have noticed a softening in our real estate market here in Nashville, which is evident by the statistics that we saw that came out that shows that our home sales were actually down 16%. Now that doesn't mean that Nashville is headed for this major downturn. In fact, one thing that I keep coming back to, because I know that a lot of times people start to read these really scary headlines of, oh, is the market going to crash? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? You know, there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of naysayers out there. However, I will continue to say it until I am blue in the face. Nashville, Williamson County in general actually has so much going for it that even if we do see this downturn in our national economy, we are poised to be in a better position to better weather such downturn than many other places across the country. In fact, I believe I mentioned it in my last video, but there was a study done that took a look at what the 10 most vulnerable cities were to an economic downturn, and it compared it to the 10 cities least vulnerable to an economic downturn, and Davidson County, Williamson County, and Rutherford County, all which make up what you're going to consider to be Nashville. Those fell into the list of the 10 cities least vulnerable to a downturn. Now, in case you're just starting to familiarize yourself with the Middle Tennessee area, Davidson County is what encompasses the heart of downtown Nashville. Just below Davidson County is Williamson County, and then Rutherford County is going to be a little southeast of Nashville, and one of the big identifying cities that's in Rutherford County is going to be Murfreesboro. So that's something to keep in mind as we take a look at what is happening in our market. So what is currently happening in our market? This is being filmed as of September of 2022. So here's what we are seeing. So those lower price points, the 200,000s, 300,000s, 400,000s, even up to 500,000, we are still seeing competitive markets. So that means that we are still in some situations seeing multiple offer situations. Now, just because it's a multiple offer doesn't mean it's 35 offers and going exceedingly over list, but it does mean that things are still competitive. There is still a greater opportunity to run into a multiple offer situation. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, as you start to climb above 5, even into the 6s and 7s and up to the 8s, you can still see some multiple offers. But as you climb higher, we are really starting to see less opportunity for multiple offer situations. And because we do have more inventory on the market compared to what the buyer demand that we are seeing, this means that we're really hitting a more stabilized, normal market. So it means that homes that are listed, if they are not quite priced correctly, most of the times they're lasting through that first weekend on the market, which is not something that we were seeing this time last year. So this means as a buyer, you have more buying power now than you did this time last year. It means more homes are on the market, so you have more to look at, which for me is kind of refreshing because I know last year it was all of these one-off showings because inventory was so scarce. Now a buyer actually has the opportunity to see multiple homes in a day that fits within their price range. So this means that you have more options to choose from, and it does give you more negotiating power when you're coming to the table with an offer. Now, don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean that sellers are completely giving everything away, but we are starting to see some price reductions. We are seeing repair amendments. We're seeing inspections and repair requests come back, which again is not something that buyers really had an opportunity for last year, but now we're seeing it come back. It's gonna be far more normalized and just stable than what we've seen, you know, basically through back into 2020 into 2021, and then even through February, March of this year when the market was absolutely white hot. And that's the other thing is like people can look at our normalizing, stabilizing market and they can say, oh, this is gonna be a bubble, this is gonna crash. Here's something you have to keep in mind. What our market was giving in terms of that white hot, very, very low supply, very high demand, exceedingly over list price, appreciation climbing month over month at 4%, none of that is sustainable. That kind of white hot market is just not sustainable long term. And so our market was giving in excess, and now it's just reabsorbing the excess that it was giving. So what does this mean if you're a seller? This means that it's more important than before for you to make sure that you're doing your proper pre-market prep work to ensure that your listing shows well, and then of course pricing right is really, really important, because whereas sellers could get aggressive with their pricing because they used to be able to say, well, like, look, my neighbor down the street got X and they sold in one day and they had this many offers. Because the market has changed, it's really important for sellers to be more conservative when it comes to their pricing. So overall, we are starting to see a more normalized market. And if we look at days on market, we are still sitting in the time span, because anything from 0 to 4 months is considered a seller's market. Anything between 5 and 6 months is considered a normal equal market. And then anything that's 6 months and beyond, that's considered a buyer's market. So if we're still looking at days on market, we are still sitting in that seller time frame. Our average days on market right now across the whole Middle Tennessee area is at 28 days. So we're still sitting in a seller's market, but buyers do have more buying power now than what they've had in a long time. So that is something to keep in mind. And again, we have a lot going for Nashville. In fact, if you actually look at a study that came out of wallethub.com at the end of August, it said that Nashville was actually the #5 best city in the US to purchase a home. Now, on top of Nashville being the #5 place in the US to buy a house, you also have to look at our tourism numbers too. So when you look at tourism, the Nashville area, Music City, we were actually the top tourism destination in the state, and the county that came in second place, which is around Memphis, wasn't even a close second. So when you actually look at the numbers, Nashville brings in $20 million through tourism a day. And you may be saying, well, Caitlin, that's tourists, that's not people wanting to move here. here's the thing. If you are thinking even about the option of investing, Davidson County, with just the amount of tourism that comes in, could be a really great place if maybe you're thinking you're not quite ready to move, or maybe you're looking for a place to park some money in an investment. Davidson County short-term rentals, if you can find them, because they are a little bit trickier to come by. But again, Nashville is a great place. People are continuing to invest here. Tourism is coming here. Nashville has a lot working for it in terms of the draw that brings people in. And if you haven't seen any of my other videos, a couple of the reasons why people are coming here and why it's a good bet when you're moving here. You know, if you haven't seen any of my other videos where I dive in further into why Nashville is becoming a really hot relocation town, I mean, we really have been for the better part of the last 10 years. But then when the pandemic hit, things really kind of changed and it just accelerated. And so Nashville, again, has a lot of economic factors. We have businesses moving headquarters here, which means that more jobs are coming to the area, which of course jobs can be a driving economic factor. So then another thing to keep in mind when it comes to just the growth and development. So obviously, Nashville's bringing in a lot of that tourism money, which is great for an investor, but here's something else to think about. Maybe you've seen the headlines, maybe you haven't. There is talks about potentially bringing a brand new stadium for the Tennessee Titans to play in. So right now we've got Nissan Stadium, and if you wanna learn more, you can actually click this video up here where I take you inside the current Nissan Stadium and what to know about Titans games. But there is talk right now that they are potentially going to build another one in the parking lots of the current Nissan Stadium and then knock that down, and then all around it create this incredible East Bank development. So there is a lot of talk about this happening, and if they do end up doing this East Bank development, it is going to be incredible. It's going to truly transform the east side of the Cumberland River, where really the Titan Stadium is one of the main attractions in that area. But they do plan to create this massive mixed-use development around the stadium. In the stadium, they plan to create a dome so that they could potentially host Super Bowl events and other big, large events, because you can't really do that without a dome. But there is talk of that happening right now. They are currently trying to figure out what they're going to do with the current stadium and if they're going to build a new one, and if so, that East Bank development. So there's so many plans. And I do believe in my last video, I also talked about how someone has drawn up what the Nashville skyline could look like over the next several years in terms of what projects are currently in progress, what's under construction, what's proposed but not started. There's a lot happening. This city is continuing to develop, it's continuing to change, and so we do have a lot working for us. Again, despite other things that may happen, Nashville has a lot of economic factors that are still really working in our favor, which means it's still a great place to move. It's still a great time to buy. And even if you're thinking about selling, is it the white hot market where you could get the sun, the moon, and the stars? No. But it is still a great opportunity to sell because there are still really strong buyers who are out there looking. Here's another really great headline. Williamson County, which is the area that is around Franklin, Brentwood, Nolensville, Arrington, Thompson Station, Spring Hill. If you're unaware, that's pretty much what encompasses Williamson County. So Williamson County came out and was named an exemplary school district, which is one of the highest honors that you can have. In fact, 29, which is a record-breaking number, 29 schools, public schools within Williamson County actually made that list. And being considered an exemplary district is the highest honor for public schools that they can receive throughout the state of Tennessee. So when you have public schools that receives that kind of designation and that has the higher rated school scores that you can find on greatschools.org, again, that's another draw for people. The fact that we have no state income tax, the fact that we're business tax friendly, the fact that we offer more affordability than where a lot of people are relocating from. There's a lot that's going for us. And so, like I mentioned earlier, we do land on a list of being least vulnerable to a downturn. Now, that doesn't mean that we are in a complete bubble and immune from anything. It just means that we are in a position to weather any sort of downturn far better than many other places. So that is something to keep in mind. So when you are thinking about moving here, you are thinking about buying here, if we are looking at Williamson County, let's go ahead and take a look at what the average home sale price was in Brentwood, Franklin, and Nolensville for a single family home in August of 2022. In Franklin, the average home sale price in August of 2022 was $1,077,343, and that's actually up 25.6% from the same time last year. Then let's take a look at Brentwood. In Brentwood, the average home sale price for a single family home in August of 2022 was $1,343,625, which is an almost increase of 23% from the same time last year. And then lastly, let's take a look at Nolensville. Nolensville came in at $782,322 for a single family home, and that is actually a 31.2% jump from the same time last year. Now, one thing that I do want to note, so if we are taking a look at what the average home sale price was in Franklin in August of 2022 versus July of 2022, we saw the slightest dip in home sale price. So like I said, in August, it was just at $1,077,000. But in July, it was actually $1,084,441. So again, this isn't saying that home prices are all of a sudden taking a dive. It's just showing that because we've got more inventory, buyers have more choices. And like I said, as you start to reach those higher price points, we are starting to see some price reductions, which again speaks to the fact that for sellers, if they are wanting their home to move quickly, we've got to be far more conservative when it comes to pricing a home. And then quickly, let's actually take a look at what the average price per square foot was for single family homes in Franklin, Brentwood, and Nolensville as of August 2022. In Brentwood, the average price per square foot was $314. In Franklin, it was $334 a square foot. In Nolensville, it was $260. Now, as I've mentioned in previous videos, once you reach a certain price point within these various parts of town, so Brentwood, Franklin, Nolensville, once you reach a certain place, that average price per square foot does change a little bit. In Brentwood, that's gonna be around the 1.1 million mark. In Franklin, it's closer to the 812,000 mark. And then in Nolensville, it's around 659,000. So that's where you start to see a jump a little bit. So in Brentwood at 1.1 million, so before, overall, the average price per square foot in Brentwood is $314, but once you hit that 1.1 million mark, that jumps to $370 a square foot. In Franklin, the average price per square foot overall for a single family home is $334. Then once you hit that $812,000 mark, it jumps to $374. And then, like I said, in Nolensville, you're really sitting at that $659 price range where you start to see the price per square foot jump a little bit. Nolensville is far less drastic than Franklin and Brentwood, but actually let's take a look. So as a reminder, it's at $260 a square foot overall, but then once you hit that $659, then it jumps to $271. If you are thinking about making a move to the Middle Tennessee area, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself and my team. If you're ready to start that conversation, please feel free to click the link below where you can go ahead and book a Zoom call with me directly where we can start that conversation. But maybe you're not ready just quite yet, and that's okay too. You can click below for my free Nashville relocation guide. Again, my name is Caitlin Martin. I'll see you next time.